Wow. So it has been a week, and it is only getting crazier as we go. First off, there's a crisis in my state that is only getting worse, and even though we have a chance to fix it and have a solution, I very much doubt that is going to happen, unfortunately. And then a 10-year-old Utah child boy was rescued by the FBI out of Cuba, and he was not being held by the Cuban government. However, he was being held by his father, who thinks he's a woman, and he was trying to forcibly change the gender. Can't, but try to forcibly change the gender of the child without the mom's consent by taking him to Cuba. We'll get into that one. And then, meanwhile, I was right when I said yesterday that we should not trust the Republicans at all. Senator Hawley came out and explained why this is true, because the Republicans apparently decided to side with the Democrats and continue funding all kinds of trans experiments on children. Delightful, aren't they? As well as refunding a major portions of Planned Parenthood. It's amazing how much you cannot trust them. And lastly, but most importantly, immigrants should not be allowed to hold public office. And that's not even a question. I'm not stating an opinion, that's a fact. Immigrants should not be allowed to hold public office. Let's get into it. So, we are here with the ripple effect for one reason, and that is to show you the impacts to your life from every decision that is made, and the headlines that show these decisions are not telling you always the truth, and that's why you need to see how it's affecting your life, so instead of the ripple effect affecting you, instead you can be the ripple effect in your life. Let's go ahead and get into it. So there's a crisis in my state. There are several people running for governor, actually quite a lot of people running for governor, a lot of them on the Democratic Party and only two on the Republican Party, and that is Chad Bianco and Steve Hilton. Steve Hilton is an immigrant, I think, from England. Not a big fan of him because the first thing he did coming out of the gate was attacking Chad Bianco instead of going after the Democrats. Now, mind you, we are in a state where the top two contenders get on the ballot, meaning that if he had played nice with Chad Bianco and had destroyed all the Democrats between the two of them, they both would be on the ballot in November. And that's a big deal because then at least one Republican would be set to take over. But he didn't care. That was not his goal in mind at all. He wanted to take out Chad Bianco because he saw him as his main contender. However, this is not the story today. The story today is that Chad Bianco, because I on my phone, Facebook knows that I like, or more interested rather, in Chad Bianco than Steve Hilton, has been showing me clips from him. And I saw a clip and I looked up to verify, and it is true. In the state of California, we have something like 40 million people. Of the 40 million people, about 17.5 million people actually pay taxes. The things that he discovered and was talking about is the fact that 150,000 of those people are the ones that pay 90% of the taxes in California, meaning that what keeps us above water, and sometimes not even above water, is 150,000 of the most wealthiest people in the state of California. And the Democrats' talking point, again, of course, because they want to tax the rich, is to go after them more and more and more. The crazy part is we are finally at a point where we're starting to reach net zero influx of people coming into California. The only reason why it's positive is because there was so much illegal immigration into California that it still looks positive coming into California. The people that are leaving are either conservatives, like me, or people that just physically can't make the money work, or it's those wealthy people that have the kind of money to leave because of the crazy taxes that are coming in. And we've seen corporation after corporation after corporation leave California because of that very reason. Can you imagine the audacity of a state that is already paying for 90% of everything in the state, salaries, everything. So you're living off of these people. For 90% of what we do in the state. And there are 150,000 people out of 40 million. 40 million. That's the craziness of a democratic society, and we wonder why we don't attract corporations and companies and all that. I wonder why. I really wonder. I wonder why they're all fleeing to places like Tennessee and Florida. I just wonder why. And Texas, although Texas will eventually probably go somewhat purple, and then we'll see how that goes. Now, in a totally different story, a Utah child who was 10 years old was taken by his father, who's pretending to be a woman, to Cuba for surgery, right? Because we're getting restrictive, thankfully, in America, and because elections have consequences, and to some degree, the Republicans had done a decent job, and I'll rephrase that shortly because one of my last stories today is about this. But good Republicans have done a decent job of fighting against the trans movement. And again, this ain't getting monetized. I don't get enough views to get monetized, but this show ain't getting monetized. Have fought against this enough that they had to take this child out of the country. And the FBI, because right now we're putting so much pressure on Cuba, the FBI was able to get into Cuba and rescue this child from his father, who again is pretending to be a woman. Thankfully, the mom has the child back now. And we can only hope and pray that the deprogramming of the nonsense that this father probably was convincing this child of can start now, and the healing can start now. And for anyone who wants to argue that transgenderism is good, look at the fact that it has now come out as a study again that not only does suicide go down after, or not go down after someone has the surgery, it may potentially be even greater. Because you know the worst part of a delusion in your mind is that when you act on that delusion and you find out that that's not the real cure, that's not the real fix, it shatters your life. The saddest part is these people don't understand. And if you have someone in your life who is suffering through these things, they need Jesus. And that sounds like a trite statement, but it's not. They need Jesus because he's the only one. He's the only one who can give them the peace and assurance and help that they need in their lives. And what are we doing? Are we doing enough when it comes to these people? I mean, I know we're trying to deal with it in a social way by making laws and rules and restrictions, but we also need to do it in a spiritual, in a person-to-person social way in our country to help them. Or are we too afraid to say what the truth is to help them? Meanwhile, to tie this in to the Republican Party, Senator Hawley Josh Hawley came out with a statement showing how the Senate has decided to side with the Democrats and continue funding trans experiments on children. The very thing that this FBI just saved that kid from in Cuba. We don't have a healthy party. We're getting ripped up by the horseshoe right, okay? And who knows how many of the Republican senators, congressmen, governors, mayors, whatever, legislators in the local states and cities, how many of them are affected by that? But also, we are controlled by the craziest idiots in our party, because we're not like the left, who will always just vote against Trump, or you can always just say if it's something that's good, they will vote against it for sure. We're not like that. And so when we go to these things, to votes on these kind of issues, there's always enough of the lunatics on our side to help it get through. We can't trust them. We can't trust them. And if you're in a state that's that weak, work on your fellow citizens. Work on your fellow citizens and help them understand you cannot vote these crazy moderates in because they are in Republican in name only. And I don't even care about the name Republican. We should be conservative. Conserving what? Conserving the very principles and morals and ethics on which this country was built, and on our Bible and our belief in God. And I have no fear in saying that the Bible and Christianity, the belief in God, the real, the only God, is the right thing. We don't want the Muslim stuff. We don't want any of the other crazy stuff coming in. No, we just don't want it. We don't want all the 7-Eleven workers coming in with all the crazy stuff from their countries. Come in and assimilate. No problem. This has nothing to do with race. It has everything to do with culture. And when you want to bring your trash culture in here, that's a problem. But we as a society are pulling away from the one culture that matters. Not the white culture, not the European culture. No. I'm talking about a Middle Eastern culture. The Middle Eastern culture that gave us Jesus. Because he died on the cross for our sins. That's the one that I'm talking about. And that's the only one who'll be able to stop the fighting. He's the only one who'll be able to help these people that are going through all these trans problems. Oh, and by the way, in this, sorry, I forgot to think about it until just now. In that funding, they're also refunding major portions of Planned Parenthood. So we're not even winning on the front of abortions. Great job, Republicans. Great job. Great job. And in my final statement today, I wanted to go off on this. No immigrant, no first-generation immigrant in America should be allowed to hold public office. Period. I don't care if it's local. I don't care if it's state. And I don't care if it's federal. No immigrant should be allowed to hold public office. We have seen nothing but the destruction, the absolute destruction of major portions of Michigan, major portions of Minnesota, major portions of the country due to these kind of problems. People come here and they refuse to assimilate. And what am I saying? If we went to some other country, and I've been to other countries, when we were living in Russia, we were not allowed to speak English outside of the home because it was disrespectful to their country. Because their country speaks Russian. And we live in a country where we just allow anyone to come in to do whatever they want and to blow away every belief, moral, and principle that we have. And these people are not coming in with the best of intentions. These people are coming in to destroy us, with the intent to destroy us from within. They'll admit it. They'll admit it. They'll admit it. If you ask them, they'll admit it. And they've seen it over and over and over again. If you don't believe me, go look at the apostate prophet. He will show you clip after clip after clip of this kind of stuff. I'm not very good with the whole tech thing, which I've got to get better. But when we have first generation people coming in, they're coming in with all their baggage, all their garbage, and have not had time to become part of our country. So instead of becoming part of our country, they're doing things like changing the Minnesota flag to looking like Somalian flag. Or in this case, this one, Connecticut State Rep, Mariam Khan, who was born in Pakistan, came to America, and I had a thing, and I am not a fan at all of the Hodge twins, whatever they are. They're very anti-Semitic losers. But because my algorithm knows I'm conservative, it sends me stuff sometimes from the horseshoe right, and I'm not pleased. But it was something that was interesting. I was talking about how she came in, and when she took office, she replaced the American flag there on her desk with a Pakistani flag. Are you representing Pakistan? And for all you dumbos out there who don't know the answer to that question, the answer is yes. Yes, she is. She's representing that culture and how she can implement that culture here. And it got worse. I asked Perplexity. I was like, hey, Perplexity, just tell me if this story is true. And you know how much worse it gets? This is one of the statements that she said, because the Perplexity, I guess Perplexity is not a she, but it said, was this. It said, this flag, because I was asking whether it was true, this flag appears to have replaced the tiny U.S. flags that many members of that state had displayed since shortly after 9/11. So the flags that she replaced, the flag, was not only the American flag, but ones that had been displayed since 9/11. I have a hard time. I have a short-term memory loss. So what happened on 9/11? Oh, a bunch of Muslims who hated our country decided to take out a bunch of targets in America, knock down the Twin Towers, and people seem to forget very quickly. That's the culture that we're bringing in, hand over fist right now. Remember when I said that just not that long ago, that 9 out of 10 entry-level jobs in America are being taken by immigrants. By immigrants. Do we not have enough children? Do we not have enough people? I mean, and you can say, well, we have a birthing crisis. I don't care. That's not the truth. The truth is, I see people all the time looking for work, trying to find work, and they can't find it. Even entry-level work. But we're bringing in all these people. And not only can they come into this country and force their culture on you, but they can get into your legislator and literally force it by legislation on you and replace your 9/11 American flag with a Pakistani one. Or change your state flag in Minnesota from a beautiful seal that meant something, that stood for a very long time, to something that looks exactly like Somalia. Do I need to go on? Yeah, the Ilhan Omar. She's what a blessing. I mean, she somehow lost like $30 million worth of value or money, but as she turns and shows everyone over and over again that the only place that she supports is Somalia. That's a federal representative. This is what our country's coming to. And if we don't do something about it, then our country will fall apart. And you say, Caleb, how can we do something about it? Talk to people. Don't be afraid. We have developed a culture in America where it's taboo to talk about politics. Why? Why is it taboo to talk about politics? Because we all know the left has no problem talking about politics. So why is it we're told taboo? Don't talk about politics. We don't that's taboo. We don't want to talk about it. Enough of that nonsense. They're out there spreading all their garbage nonstop and have convinced us to not do it because, that's not polite. We shouldn't be that way. No. Talk to people. Show them the truth. Convince them of not just the truth of politics, but the truth of God and God's word. And that will steer them in the right direction. The Holy Spirit in their life will steer them to the right direction. Now, as some final cleaning of my desk kind of notes, hope you've noticed my new setup layout. I am going to be painting pretty soon, getting some of that stuff done. So if you have a good idea for color, post it in the comments below. A wonderful young lady by the name of Catherine made that painting for me. And my wife helped me get the frame for it. It's actually really impressive. That is from a photo. Not even a photo that that she was looking at. I asked her one day, I said, hey, how easy would it be for you, since I love ships and all that kind of stuff and the ripple effect, water and all that stuff. I said, how hard it would be for you to make something. And so I showed her a picture. And then she shows me this, and it was free. It was a nice little gift to me. It was really, 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 really cool. So adding some decor to my background here. Hopefully we can keep going. Thank you so much for watching The Ripple Effect. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help. And since I will never get monetization on this channel because of the topics I talk about, the only way to get this truth out is for you to do the work for me. You have to spread it. You have to share it. You have a Facebook, post it on your Facebook. You have a Twitter, post it on your Twitter. You have a whatever, YouTube, give me a plug. I would appreciate all that. It very, very, very much helps. Thank you so much.